How y'all doing? I'm Paul Ryan, your host of the Across the Cowboys podcast. If you're new to the show, thank you for joining us. And to our regular listeners, welcome back. With me, as always, is my co-host, the greatest co-host in the world, Mike The Pig Crum. Mike, how are you?
Doing good, man. Yes, we didn't get a chance to talk because I was I was getting a massage. But I took the wrong insulin last night, and so
oh Lord.
There's two different ones when you're a bad diabetic. There's the long lasting and there's the when you eat. And I'm on my reset. So basically all I can have is rabbit food. And instead of pumping myself of 20 units of the long lasting insulin, I did 20 units of the immediate insulin. And so that wasn't great. That didn't make for a great night. But I lived. So I'm here. So we're good. We're happy.
Well, Mike, I'm glad you made it through the night, my friend.
Yeah. Fun. I had to break my reset for a day, but I'm back at it now.
Oh, gosh. Well, that's a story for another day, sir. Mike, before we get into our discussion tonight, let the people know where they can find you on Twitter.
At CD Piglet, guys. Nice and easy.
Guys, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. Well, here we are with episode 3 of our latest series, Cowboys Crystal Ball. For those new to the show, this is a series where Mike and I bring on guests to discuss the Cowboys' schedule in 4-week increments, predict the Cowboys' record, and share their Super Bowl predictions. With us tonight is contributor for Cowboys Wire, editor and columnist for Sports DFW. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Reed Hansen to the show. Reed, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
I appreciate you joining us tonight, Reed.
All right. I'm happy to be here.
Welcome, Cowboys Wire fam.
Yes,
right.
sir. Reed, where can we find you on Twitter, sir?
At Reed D. Hansen, which I did to make it easy, but everybody always misspells my first name and my last name, so it ends up not being easy. It's Reed, R-E-I-D, middle initial D, Hansen, H-A-N-S-O-N.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I mentioned we're going to be talking about the Cowboys schedule tonight, but before that, there's been some discussion about a certain running back. Of course, I'm referring to Dalvin Cook, who was officially released last Friday and kind of had, the better part of Cowboys Nation's hoping and wanting Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones maybe to make a move and sign Dalvin Cook. Reed, I'm curious. Do you think the Cowboys should kick the tires on Dalvin Cook?
As someone who believes we should always be kicking tires, I give an enthusiastic sure.
Enthusiastic, okay.
Exactly. He doesn't excite me. He's not the guy he used to be.
Right.
But he's not a bad player. He's not. This isn't a matter of replacing one problem with another problem. But I think he wants a different kind of role. So I wouldn't mind kicking the tires to find out what he's looking for in a team and seeing if that's what we need in a team.
Right.
I'm going to mess things up right away. Dalvin Cook, or assuming both are healthy, Dalvin Cook or James Robinson?
Oh, probably Robinson because it's going to be less.
Yeah.
Less money, less of an expectation. Dalvin Cook, I don't think he wants to take like a true second fiddle role. He wants to be at the very least, a tandem. And that's not something I'm eager to dole out either. I don't think that would be in the Cowboys' best interest. So I think I would go the other route. You
mentioned the money, guys. Apparently he's not looking to make $5 million. He wants more. I mean, it looks like he wants $7, $8, probably $10 million a year. I'm not interested in that at all.
Yeah, agreed.
Right.
I agree. Where would you rank Cook among running backs right now?
So I'm thinking right around the middle of the pack. I think, around a 32. He used to be a top 5 guy, easy. But his numbers have gone down. Ted Wynn at The Athletic did a column, and then I piggybacked on that and spun it into the Cowboys situation. And, he showed that Cook has fallen in explosiveness from 12th to 28th to 30th. Let's see, his elusiveness has gone down to 34th to 28th. So he's down in that middle tier. And then in the rushing yards over expected, he's dropped all the way down to 35. and he used to be number 2. So, I mean, and what rushing yards over expected looks at then is the blocking, and using tracking, it can say how much yardage this running back was supposed to get on this given play. Right? What's gift wrap for you? And then anything more is something that you added to the thing. Anything less is something that you've subtracted from the thing. So this is something that he was constantly adding more to, and now he's taking away from, and he's dropped below where Zeke ranked even.
So it's that.
Yeah. So it's just not something. It's not something I like. And then, and his playing style, I don't think he adds anything specifically that the Cowboys need that they don't already have. If he was, a short yardage specialist or something like that, that would be one thing. But I see him with, when you compare him to Tony Pollard, I see him as a less efficient redundancy to Pollard. So he's somebody that you're going to bring in there, and he's going to take snaps away from Pollard and do less with them.
Right. Well, Mike, based on that answer, I think we can skip the next couple of questions here. So I'm going to jump to this third one. Well, do you think if, let's just say the Cowboys were to sign Cook, would that be the right move team building wise, or would that be a step back, you think, Reed?
Okay, so here's where I'm going to be all over the place. I think that would signal that they find this year very important, and it is a kind of an all-in move.
Right.
Because right now they've got all their eggs in Tony Pollard's basket. If he gets hurt, who's going to come in and play? I mean, Malik Davis, Deuce Vaughn. I mean, sure, they could be good players, but goodness, we don't know. And this is kind of a big season. I mean, expectations are pretty high. And this team is supposedly really committed to the running game. None of the actions are showing that. So the way it's built right now, it's a little scary. But at the same time, I don't necessarily want Cook to come in and play running back 2. I'd rather see what Malik Davis has to offer. I'd rather see what Deuce Vaughn's doing. I'd like to see these other things. So I want Cook there then for an insurance policy, but I don't want him there to mess up the rotation that's already there. So I think probably the way that I would recommend, the way that I think the Cowboys would go about this, is waiting to see what they have in their guys. Any kind of veteran running back that comes in, whether it's Cook or whoever, is probably going to be a move after they see their guys play in training camp a little more.
Yeah.
Word is that last year, one of the reasons Malik Davis fell out towards the end is he was watching Zeke get holes and not being able to get through them. And he's sitting there going, can I just get the ball? Like, I'm working as hard as anybody. I get it. He's Ezekiel Elliott. He is who he is. He's done what he's done, but he's not getting to the holes that I get to in practice. And I'm doing all this work, and y'all just won't even give me any carries at all. Like, I get it too. Like, Ezekiel Elliott was top 10 in carries as a running back last year. That just seems inefficient. I'll be polite and say inefficient to me. So, you want your third string running back or fourth string to kind of shut up and work his way. But I like the guy that has the balls to go, nah, he shouldn't be getting carries over me. I don't care what his name is. So I want to see him get the ball. I really do. This training camp and this preseason, I want to see what he does.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. I don't mind that attitude. And to think that the Cowboys might have held that against him and given him less opportunities than in the San Francisco game because of any kind of attitude or personal reasons, even though he was the best man for the job, most likely, that kind of chaps my rear. I don't love that.
Yeah.
You pay a guy that much money, and so you're not going to say, well, he's only a short yardage back, but realistically, if they would have put him in that role and he was, say, 25th in carries instead of 10th, and he had 8 touchdowns and 500 something yards, you'd be more like, well, it's not, the money's still bad, but you could see the vision for him. And then you'd give Malik Davis and Tony Pollard more carries than him. But, it didn't work out that way because money talks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk some schedule here, gentlemen. That's what we brought you on here, Reed. And here we are, Week 10 versus the New York Giants. When you look at this Giants team versus this Cowboys team, Reed, should Dallas sweep the Giants with this game here?
They should. They're the better team, and given their schedule, they better. They play a lot of hard teams this year. This is an unreal schedule, and I know things tend to look different today than they will when everything unfolds. That always happens.
Right.
But I don't see any way that this schedule is that much easier in reality than it looks today. Like, there's some good teams in the schedule. So teams like the Giants, they're a fine team. They need to take care of business. They can't let these teams that are lesser than take wins from them, because there's harder games out there that they've really got to take.
I'll say this. I picked them to lose week 1 to the Giants, and my rationale was they basically use week 1 as a preseason game. They don't play anybody. They don't truly prepare for the season. I mean, they just have it under McCarthy, and they've looked terrible, under him in week 1. Does that worry you?
Sure. I actually like that. I don't like coming in with such effort in preseason and everything. I would rather risk rust than risk injury.
Agreed.
Needless injury. So I am okay with that. But it's a good point you brought up. They do come out looking ugly traditionally, and that does make for a scarier situation. But the Cowboys being the more tenured team, the more veteran team, I'd hope they have enough edge to be able to come out and take this. And I hope that they see their schedule and they know that they can't come out slow out of the gate, because this is a real schedule.
That really is.
Is the Giants offense the worst in the division?
I think Washington is. I don't hate the Giants. I think they're just missing just a little bit, and it's going to come together. Daniel Jones surprised me last year. He looked like an actual quarterback, and he did not look like that to me ever before. I still wouldn't have given him that contract. I would have franchised him and let Saquon walk, but that's not the point. I think they're a decent offense, and they can put up points, and you got to be careful because they can run a variety of ways. And when you've got a quarterback that can run, anything can happen.
Absolutely. Well, you said Daniel Jones surprised you last year. Where do you have him ranked among NFL quarterbacks?
I've got him.
Dak.
Yeah, I saw that floating on Twitter. I'm like, come on, guys, you can't even.
Oh, Lord of mercy.
Sorry.
So yeah, to link in there though, I'm gonna put him in that Kirk Cousins bucket where Dak haters always like to stick him.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna put him in that 12 to 15 range, right in there. He's a good core. He's okay. He's better than average, but he's not like the franchise kind of guy.
Okay.
And
Wow.
if he builds off this last season. So I'm not looking at total body. I'm looking at last season where he actually put up some decent numbers and decent efficiency numbers. His completion percentage above expected was, I think, 7th or something like that last year, which is shocking.
I agree. Is it the QB that the Giants are missing to be contenders, or is there something else you think added to that?
Well, I mean, a QB is the cure-all. I mean, anybody can take Patrick Mahomes and become a great team.
Oh, man, yeah.
But I think what the Giants are probably missing is one just elite pass catcher. They just had a big go-to guy because they've got so many possible game breakers at receiver. If they just had one bad man to go and to be the go-to guy in everything, if they had a CD Lamb, if they had a AJ Brown, somebody like that, I think that would really put them over the top.
Can Jalen Hyatt be that guy?
No, I think Jalen Hyatt is going to be the second coming of Deshaun Jackson. It's kind of a lazy take, and I'm sure you guys have heard that a lot, but I think he's a guy who's going to disappear for stretches, and he's going to bust some games open, and I think he is going to probably steal some games from the Cowboys, like D-Jack always did.
Yeah.
But he's also just going to disappear. I think he's a great bonus guy. He's, the whip topping on top of the sundae, but he's not the ice cream.
Well, would DeAndre Hopkins be that type of receiver you're talking about?
Could be. I'm kind of mixed on Hopkins, what he has left in the tank. I got to take a wait and see approach on him. I've been very mixed. I've been waffling on him. Like even when the Cowboys were linked to him, been very scared. Like how much does he want? How much of a gamble is this? How much of an investment is this? Between the suspension, the PEDs, what is he really like right now?
Fair. I know you. The Giants were able to sneak into the playoffs last year in 2022. Are they a playoff team in 2023? You think?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think they'll be a thorn in everybody's side, but unless everybody takes the next step up, mostly Daniel Jones. If he takes another step up, then yeah. But I want to express that they're a good team. They're fantastically coached. They're fairly solid throughout, but they're just not there yet. So I want to give them respect, but I don't want to inflate them too much.
Yeah, I could see a lot of teams saying, okay, we got tape on Daniel Jones and in Brian Daboll's offense, and we know what he can and can't do, and that could be a big deterrent for Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
So we winning or losing this game?
Gotta win. Gotta win it.
Yep.
Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, we're winning. That I have them losing the first game. I ain't having the Giants sweep us. That, on a technicality, because I trust Dable with all this extra time, and I don't trust our team to which I actually agree with Reed. I'm fine losing one game, bigger risk, for injury. So I'm good resting them. But I watched Dable beat Tennessee. Tennessee was one of the best teams with extra time. They beat Kansas City before under Vrabel. They beat New England before under Vrabel in week ones. And those two coaches don't lose. And Dable beat him. And so I trust Dable off of that. And I don't trust our team to be quite there yet. They need that 1 week to really get their punch in. Now, they could just be so good that they beat them. But that was my take, is that we'd lose to Daniel Jones and beat Aaron Rodgers. So they're winning this one. They're not getting swept.
Okay. Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. I at this point in the season, week 10, our offense should be humming. Our defense is going to be who they are. I feel like we win this one pretty easily. So moving on to week 11, at Carolina Panthers. In 2022, the Panthers' regular season record was 7-10. They missed the playoffs, and their 2023 strength of schedule is the 6th easiest in the NFL. And the key stat for the Panthers in 2022, combined, all of the Panthers quarterbacks threw for only 16 passing TDs. Reed, when you look at the Carolina Panthers, did they make the right decision taking Bryce Young at 1-1, or should they have maybe taking a different quarterback or a different player overall?
I think they made the right choice. I don't try to – quarterbacks are a crapshoot. It's very tough. And he was – the only thing holding him back was his size, which, not to underplay it, I mean, that's still a significant thing. It speaks to durability and whatnot. But he was, for all intents and purposes, the best option, the best prospect in the draft. So I've got no problem with going with who you have. And it wasn't all in projection. He was who they had as the best guy. I think that's the right move. He's who I would have picked also. So can't fault him for that.
If they have competent QB play, are the Panthers the best team in the NFC South?
I think so, don't you? I'm looking at that division. I'm like, do they have to send somebody? Like, does somebody have to win this? Yeah, they do. So why not? And yeah, speaking to coaching also, they've got coaching. So that could put them above.
Yeah, speaking of coaching, I mean, how much of a difference maker will Frank Wright be for the Panthers?
I think it's going to be huge. I think he's a great coach, and he's embraced the analytics, and he's bringing them out of the dark ages, because for so long they seemed constructed with old, like, 1990s thinking, and that's how they were trying to build their roster and their decisions. And now it just seems like things are moving into the next the current era, and I think that can really put them above. And also, I mean, they're talented. They're a talented team. They just need that quarterback to work out. Yeah. And even if he's not, I mean, we don't expect him to necessarily hit the ground running, but he came in as one of the most polished of the class. So if anybody is going to give him the instant returns, this is the situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are they a better team than the Saints with David Carr, though? Derek Carr, my bad, Fresno State boy.
Right. I think so. I spent time today looking at the Saints roster, and I just wasn't feeling it. It just didn't seem as solid. It didn't seem as up and coming. I don't see it happening, and I kind of tilt towards the unknown, the new guy coming in, rather than the retread. We kind of know where Derek Carr is, and he's going to have some really good games, but he's not going to consistently have the good games. So he might have some big blowouts where he's going to look like the best. I think he's going to have the best highlights, but I don't think he's going to be able to consistently be the guy.
He's in that Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones range.
I think so. That's where I am.
Looking at this matchup, Reed, is this a win or a loss?
It's got to be a win. This is another one that just simply has to. They cannot lose these games. Too many tough games that are going to hit them later on and earlier. They've got to keep the pedal down for these winnable games.
Mike, how about you?
I agree. This is the stretch right after the bye week that they need to make a big run, a big move, and it includes winning these games. And I just don't think that rookie quarterback's going to be ready for what Dan Quinn and the Dallas defense can bring at him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Cowboys offense and defense will just be too much to overcome for the Panthers. So this is also a win for me as well. So moving on here to week 12 versus the Washington Commanders. 2022, the Commanders' regular season record, they were 8-1. They missed the playoffs, and in 2023, their strength of schedule is the 8th most difficult. And a key stat from 2022 for the Commanders, the Commanders' offense averaged more points per game than Tampa Bay Buccaneers and scored more total points, which I know, I mean, Tampa Bay, say what you will about them last year. I just found that kind of interesting. But when you look at this game, Reed, after the embarrassment that was Week 18, is this a revenge game for the Cowboys?
So I didn't really think about that game until you mentioned it. It doesn't stick in the back of my mind at all. It was a horrible game, but it was a game that the Cowboys clearly weren't focused on. Even though they were technically playing for something, just watching them, they clearly weren't focused on it. They mailed it in. They tried to half-ass their whole way through it, and it bit them in the butt. And that's all I can say. I don't think that any of the players or coaches feel like Washington got the better of them. I don't feel they feel disrespected. I think they know damn well that they took their foot off the gas and they thought they could coast through this game, and they couldn't. And that's a lesson everyone just has to learn.
Yeah.
Commanders players after the game were like, it was a preseason game for them. That was the opposite team's players. So, yeah. What's your thoughts on Sam Howell?
I like his potential. He's not a typical, fifth-round pick. He's not a typical fifth-round pick. The year before he was drafted, he was picked, or he was prognosticated to be the top pick, or at least a top 10 pick. So he fell all the way to the 5th round. And I don't really know why, because his film wasn't that bad his last year. He lost all of his weapons, and he added a ground game, his own ground game. He added different elements to his own game. Now, the knocks on him, might be his progressions and willingness to sit in the pocket and make good decisions. But as far as first read and run, that's going to get you something. So I think he's worth somebody building around and taking a shot at, because how many options are there? So go for it. He's got, even though he's a 5th rounder, I think he does have skill pedigree, like he's a 1st rounder. I don't want to take him lightly either. And if I'm Washington, I'm excited to see what I got in him.
I had a 2nd round grade on.
Okay.
Yeah, this has been a bit of a quarterback heavy discussion tonight. But you look at the Commanders. I mean, with the team that they have, are they a quarterback away from being a contender in your eyes, Reed?
Yeah, I think so. In much the same way as everybody else. I don't think it takes, you don't have to have an all-star there, but I think Washington can go from the worst offense. I think they're the worst offense heading into the season. So I'm looking at New York being better than them heading into week 1. And then we'll see. It's going to kind of come down to how the quarterbacks perform, is which way they're going to slot. So, yeah, I think they're going to be pretty decent, and they have a chance to be really good. But it's not going to happen that fast, because you have to learn to go through progressions. You have to learn to make good decisions, and that's not going to happen overnight. And everything that we've seen shows that it's not in the works. He needs to. It's almost a gimmick right now at this point. What Daniel Jones almost was earlier in his career, where he didn't have the right throws, he didn't make the right decisions, and it all started to click. You can look at Hurts too. You can look at Hurts. He didn't have it all put together, and slowly it started to click, and then all of a sudden he became good. So I don't think we're going to see anything crazy happen right away this first year, because this is going to be his first year for what he played. It started one full game. So
one game last year.
Yeah. So I think it's going to take some time for him to progress. The ceiling is as high as he can perform.
Was the Commanders' best move of this past offseason getting some new ownership?
Yeah, it was a sad day for Cowboys fans. That was like that was like the gift that kept on giving. But at the end of the day, Snyder's a horrible guy. He did horrible things to all sorts of people, and he impacted so many lives. It's good that he's out. It's good for the league. It's good for humans. It stinks for competitive advantage, but
you mentioned competitive advantage. You look at Ron Rivera, he's kind of had a bit of a mixed bag there in Washington when you think about the players he's had and then, how he's used them. Is he on the hot seat this year?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And sadly, he's going to be linked to his quarterback. So he's got 1 year to make this happen. What his record is 22, 27, and 1. So this is the time. And his career record is 98, 94, and 2. So this is going to just kind of be telling on if he can even really keep coaching realistically. He's over 60. He's got a long track record of being okay. And that doesn't excite people for very long.
Very true, yeah.
Who has the most to prove between Rivera, who we've talked about, Howell, who we've talked about, Chase Young, who their word is they're trying to trade, or Eric Bieniemy, who's trying to get out of Andy Reid's shadow?
Right. Well, I mean, working through them, Rivera doesn't really have much of a ceiling or a floor on this season. He kind of is what he is. And he's only going to buy a little time. He's not going to move much. Howell, he's going to have lots of time because he's got the raw skills that we're going to see. He's going to get a couple more years. He doesn't have to do it just this year. He doesn't have to prove anything. He's got the benefit of being a 5th-round pick. So expectations come with that, which are nice. This is just like a can't-lose situation for him, and I think he's going to look good. Chase Young, so up until now, he's a bust. Because he's been injured, he hasn't produced up to his level. But he's got the skills where it wouldn't surprise anybody. If he stayed healthy this year and put up 14 sacks, would that surprise either of y'all? No. He's got that ability. That wouldn't surprise anybody. So I don't think they're really high stakes for him at all either. He's on a prove-it year this year because the fifth-year option was declined. And if he doesn't do anything, someone else is going to give him a 1-year prove-it deal. They're going to give him another 1-year prove-it deal. And as long as he's this talented, they're going to keep giving him these 1-year prove-it deals. And it's almost like Jadeveon Clowney, who just keeps getting these deals based on, but what if? And he's making money. He's making a lot of money. And Young is better in the head and better in the heart than Clowney, too. So I'm not worried.
Sure.
He's going to have plenty of opportunities. But Bieniemy. This is big for Bieniemy. And I love the guy, and I don't understand why he didn't. I heard rumors, but I don't understand why he didn't get shots before to really prove himself. And even if he had nothing to do with the offense in Kansas City, just through osmosis and being next to Andy Reid, you would think he's extremely qualified to be an awesome offensive coordinator. Sadly, he's linked to Rivera and to Howell, so he can only be as good as these guys. And I think if Howell flops and the offense flops, then Rivera's out, then what happens to Bieniemy? Like, he can't be promoted if the offense is the reason that they bombed.
Yeah.
So I think it's Bieniemy. He has the most to prove. He's been begging for the shot. He got the shot, kind of. I mean, he didn't get the promotion that he seemed to deserve. He ended up taking a lateral so he could call plays. But man, he put it all in this effort, and I want to see it work. I just wish it wasn't in Washington.
Yeah, see, because we have to all, as Cowboys fans, now I'm rooting again. Like, I don't want him to do good because we got to replace him. You know what I mean? And it feels bad because I'm with you. I think he should have got a job. You see all the Patriots and other Kansas City and McVay guys that continue to get jobs, whether they're good or bad, and Bieniemy gets skipped over, and you're like, man, how bad does he interview? Like, crazy.
Right.
All right, I have a feeling I know we're going to go with this one, but is this a win or a loss?
It's got to be a win. This is another one. It just simply has to be a win.
I hear you. Mike, how about you?
Count me in. W.
Man, we're all homers tonight because I have to agree with you guys. You know, this stretch of games, Reed, you've said it best that these are the games where Dallas has to win because the schedule does not lighten up at all, and Dallas needs to take care of business, and they really should against these teams to have the talent, but I just don't think they have enough to compete with Dallas. But I want to ask you a bonus question. You know, this game versus Washington being on Thanksgiving. So, Reed, I want you to put your favorite Thanksgiving plate together for us. You can get 2 appetizers, 1 entree, 3 sides, 2 desserts, and 1 drink, alcoholic or non-alcoholic.
All right. I'm looking forward to this conversation. All right. So the appetizers, I hold Thanksgiving in high regard. That's my favorite holiday of the year. I don't travel ever for anything. I host it. This is my house. My pants are optional. You can come over if you want, but this is my day. All right. So started off because I do a lot of the cooking. I rock a charcuterie board or something like that in the kitchen, and then people can walk by and we can all kind of graze on that as things come out. The main dish, smoked turkey. I do it every other year. My wife gets kind of sick of smoked birds. So I'll do in the oven one year and then I'll do the smoker the next year. But I'll spatchcock it. I will inject it, the whole works. And then I'll usually buy an extra turkey breast and just braise that in butter and cook it in butter for the table also. My side dishes, and now I'm saving one of the appetizers because I do something funny at the end. I'll get back to that. Yes, all right. Sir. So the other, the side dishes then, green bean casserole. My folks are from the Midwest. Sir. My wife's folks are from the Midwest. They grew up with it, and I've learned to just love and appreciate it so much with extra crispies. Make my wife put it on this wide dish with lots of crispies on top. I do a brisket mac and cheese, so I'll smoke a brisket earlier before Thanksgiving, and then I'll chop it up and use that to work into my mac and cheese. And then to make it extra smoky, I'll do like the smoked Gouda, and I'll melt that in there with my roux. And so yes. And then usually do some kind of like sourdough stuffing with sausage and cranberries and something like that. I like to work that with, the potatoes and gravy and all that other stuff. Just throw extra starches in there.
Sounds delicious.
So my dessert's pretty boring. I'm not a sweet tooth guy. So I might take like a half a slice. But we'll do the pumpkin pie, even though I'm not a huge fan. I like whipped cream more than pumpkin pie. So I'm the obnoxious person. Just a little pie with my whipped cream.
Yes,
and
sir.
Then my wife makes a homemade French silk pie that I do love. And that does need to kind of be kept away from me at times because I will binge. Even though I don't have a sweet tooth, I will binge once I get a taste.
Do you make the whipped cream?
Yes, my wife does. Yes.
Very good.
Beverages. I lived in Europe for 5 years, so I did a lot of beer collecting. And when I moved over here, I brought my cellar with me. So I buy a lot of bottle fermented beer. So it's not lagered or anything. It's still living in the bottle. It's got cork and everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it lasts longer. So I've got the exact bottle I'm going to open for Thanksgiving. lined up on deck.
Very
I plan with
cool.
all my beers. So I usually do like a saison or something like that, and then that marks the last before I move into like Christmas beers, and then move out the heavy hitters. So the final thing, remember I saved that appetizer.
Yeah, you saved the appetizer.
Ready.
Yes. So one of my favorite things, one of my favorite countries is Portugal, and in Lisbon, they have a traditional, instead of dessert, they do a thing called prego, which is a steak sandwich. So at the end of the night, you eat your food, you drink all your booze, you listen to the music, and then you eat the steak sandwich. So that's what I do. So
okay.
I have the big Thanksgiving meal, and then I give it a couple hours, and then my last meal is the steak sandwich, which I tenderize it, and then I make a good a chimichurri, and then put that on a toasted bun, and then
I'm so proud of this segment. I'm so proud of this segment. This might be the best segment we've ever had on here.
I thought this was a winning idea, fellas.
That's beautiful.
We haven't got to talk food in a couple of weeks, Mike, so I thought you might appreciate this one.
And I didn't know I cook also. Yeah, I didn't know Reed had it like that. So when he's like, I cooked the whipped cream, and then right at the end, chimichurri, because that's when I think steak sandwich, first thing I think is chimichurri.
Yep.
It's beautiful. It brings one tear popped out of my eye while you were going through that menu. It's perfect.
No, that sounds great, man. I love that plate there, Reed. Thank you for sharing that. It sounds like you have good taste in food, my friend.
There we go. Yes, I do.
All right, moving back on to football talk. I'm not sure how many followers we lost there, but oh well. Week 13 versus the Seattle Seahawks.
There was no frozen Red Baron pizza talk there, Paul. We gained followers with that one. That was a man who cooks right there.
Very true, very true. All right, week 13 versus Seattle Seahawks. Their record in 2022 was 9-8. They made the playoffs, but they went 0-1 versus in the wild card matchup versus the San Francisco 49ers. And their 2023 strength of schedule was the 12th most difficult. Key stat from 2022, Geno Smith was fourth in passing touchdowns with 30. You look at Pete Carroll, the success he's had over the years. I mean, they trade away Russell Wilson. What do? They make the playoffs. What is it about Pete Carroll that you think makes him so successful, Reed?
It's gum. He chews gum like a cud horse. I don't know, man. I don't know. His play calling and some of his decisions on his teams is absurd. But somehow they are coming out. And the only thing I've thought long and hard about this, man, is that he takes a lot off the plate and he'll somewhat cripple the limits of the offense to make things lesser stakes. I don't know. He doesn't air it out. He never let Russ cook. And then when Russ goes to Denver and he gets to cook, it's awful.
It's Red Baron pizza.
No, bro, I'd eat that Red Baron all day before I watch that Denver offense.
Right. No, yeah. Red Baron is too much of a compliment. This is like Totino's pizza rolls.
Oh, God.
They've been over microwaved on one side, and I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure why Pete Carroll has had the success he has with his quarterbacks, because it defies certain levels of logic. But Geno Smith is legit. I want to poke holes in his game, but I can't. The stats back it up. The analytics back it up. He makes tough throws, and he does well, and makes good reads. One of the big constants on that Seattle team, and maybe everybody's success is this: their speed at wide receiver. Pete Carroll loves speed, and between Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, they can stretch the field this way and that, and they're big game guys. And back to the Russell Wilson days, they ran the ball way too much on early downs, but they would pop some big plays, and maybe that was enough just to make everything hum, because that's the biggest advantage. And I see the speed, the way they stretch the field. It's phenomenal.
You kind of answered the Geno question and kind of set up my next one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you that one and let Paul ask the next two. Of the wide receivers that Seattle has, which one would you take to bring over to Dallas?
Oh, yeah. I'd take the rookie, Jackson Smith-Njigba. Unless I needed 1 year. If I had him for 1 year, I love Lockett. I would take Lockett. I wouldn't touch DK Metcalf with a 10-foot pole because I don't like him as a guy. I think I've heard too many bad things from Seattle fans. I don't want a Cam Takers person on my team. So he's off the board. He's a great weapon. I support him as a weapon, but I don't want him on my team kind of thing. But otherwise, I'll take Smith and Jigba if we're looking at long term, because I think that guy's going to be phenomenal. And for as much as those guys are going to stretch the field, Smith and Jigba is going to get so much action cutting around the middle. The way he runs routes, all the space he's going to have to navigate, it's going to be big.
When you look at DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Tyler Lockett, is that trio of receivers better than the Dallas trio of CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Brandon Cooks?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And until I see Michael Gallup come back, I think he was a net negative last year. It was depressing to see him out there playing. It was not the old guy, and we're hearing reports, but that he's coming back, that he's get that bounce in his step, and now he's admitting he wasn't right last year. This is all the same kind of crap you hear every year at this time. It's like, remember when I said I was 100% last time? I wasn't really, but now I am. Best shape of my life. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah. So, if we get the old Michael Gallup, then okay, now we have a conversation. And if Smith and Jigba plays like I think he is going to play, then we have a conversation. But if Gallup doesn't get back to what he was, this is a no-brainer for me. I don't think we're on their level, even though CeeDee Lamb is the best of all of them.
I'll plug Cowboys Wire since we both work there. I've been doing the NFC East rankings of every position, and I'm writing wide receiver right now. And it's brutal because I believe if we had 2019 Michael Gallup and I knew it, it's easy. Well, their top two may be a little bit better, but our third guy is way better. But I got to see it. I can't just go, he's going to be better. Like, I got to see it. So I'm leaning towards putting Eagles at the top of the thing. Now, you got to read it to find out for sure. But right now I'm writing it, and I'm like, I don't see how I can put them over with not knowing what Michael Gallup is as the third guy. Right.
And more importantly, the logic that you show on those articles, whether we know who is the top and who isn't, getting your insight on why this is the way it is actually the most valuable. So I love those articles of yours.
I appreciate you, man. I'm just trying to be as good as you, my friend.
Man, we're just all trying to make a buck.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, KD. Thank you, KD.
Right.
Looking at the Seahawks game, Reed, I think it's safe to say this is the most difficult game in the stretch here. Looking at this matchup, do you think Dallas' secondary or pass rush will be the key to victory?
It's tough because they're going to work harmoniously. If I had to answer anything, I think our secondary is going to be key throughout the season because they're so deep. Finally, because we can throw so many guys back there, and we finally have two guys who can two gap on the defensive line, so we can seriously have just four guys rushing the passer. We've got at least one of them in the middle, two gapping, just in case any quarterback runs or anything like that. I just think the stability of the front four is going to allow us to throw a lot of numbers in the back in the secondary. That's what I'm banking on. PFF did a study a while back, which is more linked to winning solid coverage or pass rush, and the coverage won overwhelmingly. And it's because the more numbers you put back there, the better. It's single point failure system back there. All you need is one weak link, and it's all gone to crap. Defensive back falls on his face, it's a big play. Whereas the pass rush, they can take plays off. You don't see them give full effort every single time. You just need one guy to get home. It's kind of the opposite. So long story, but I'm going to say the secondary is going to be the key versus these guys. They've got three receivers. I think their tight ends are underrated as well. I think throwing as many guys back there, no tanked assignments, keeping things in front of them, and then that's how it's going to work.
Would a win against Seattle at home be a signature win for this season?
I hope so. I hope people are giving Seattle the respect. There's two games that I'm really concerned that I think people are taking lightly, and that's Seattle and that's Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
They're both fantastic teams, and I think we're going to split it. I don't know exactly. I know the upcoming question is, are we going to win this game? I think we're going to split them. I think one game we're going to win, one game we're going to lose versus Detroit and Seattle. But I think we're going to botch one of them. They're two good teams. I think we're taking them lightly as a fan base. Yeah. I can't imagine the team is, but we'll see. I mean, the Cowboys surprise us every single time. They'll take weeks off that we never saw coming.
Yeah, I think people maybe still need to see a little bit more from Geno, and that's why they might not believe in the Seattle game or the Seattle team. I think it has a lot to do with Geno Smith.
Totally, yeah, that really could. And I'll tell you, I tried to poke holes in his game. I watched him more than I watched most other quarterbacks that we're playing against. More than I watched Goff. I'm not interested in Goff, even though I know he's playing fine. I wanted to see if Geno Smith was real, and I just couldn't poke holes in his game. It just seems like it just finally clicked for him. And maybe that's even unfair because he didn't really have a whole lot of opportunities. Maybe all he needed was a stinking opportunity. It happens.
Yeah, very true. It does. We've seen it with Ryan Tannehill. I mean, why not Geno Smith?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, Reed, you kind of alluded to it. My next question, is this a win or a loss?
I'm going to say that this one is the win. And I think we're going to lose to Detroit if I had to pick them. I think Detroit's the one we're going to tank. So I think we're going to win this one. But again, I hope you can sense my confidence in this. It's not really bubbling over.
Yes, sir. Mike, how about you?
This one was rough for me too. I honestly, it came down to me to, I think Pete Carroll is going to be very, very conservative going up against our defense to hope that, Geno played great and you want to keep him in a spot where look, just don't give the game away. We're going to keep it close. We're going to run. You don't make mistakes and we'll try to keep us in it. And I don't know if their defense is good enough to stick with our offense in that way. I think if we are able to get up a couple scores, we're at home. Dak's about a 30-point-a-game guy at home. So if he gets to that 24 mark, I don't know if Seattle can get up that high. So I went with Dallas. If this was at Seattle, I think I would have flipped it. I think I went with them because they're at home. And Dak puts points on the board when he's at home. He just does. So I think Dallas is going to win. But this was definitely the toughest of the four games.
Yeah. I didn't get an opportunity to do a lot of research on this one, guys. So kind of talking about it, getting a feeling, looking at who we've played, and this being the week after Thanksgiving, like DMV said, it's okay to be confident in the Cowboys, but I'm leaning Seattle here. So that's what I'm going to go. The first loss in this 4-game stretch, I'm going to give it to Seattle. So I have Dallas losing this one.
That's fair. I mean, you're going to lose some.
Yep.
Yeah. And this is a good team, man. Like Reed said, people are sleeping on the Seahawks. I had this as a game to look out for when Mike and I broke down the schedule a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, I feel. I mean, of course, I think the Cowboys can win this game, but thinking about it now, I have a feeling this is the game that we lose. If we're gonna, split it up, either losing one to Detroit, losing one to Seattle, I think we'd probably lose to Seattle.
Okay.
So you look at the schedule of games, Reed. Is there one you have circled that you're excited about?
So I'm not circling Philadelphia because screw them. I'm not giving them that respect.
I love it.
I'm circling Buffalo.
Oh, that's a big game right there.
We play Buffalo in the cold, which don't get me started on what I think about outdoor stadiums in cold weather states. I think it's messed up. But I'm sick of all of the comparisons, or lack of comparisons, I should say, between Josh
Allen
and Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Because Josh Allen seems to get all the benefit of the doubt. He has been repeatedly named like QB2 in the NFL. Last year, he got the most loaded team. He basically had a dream team built up on offense, and then crap the bed. The team didn't do well. He didn't do well. They didn't take that next step up. But the criticism really didn't come flowing in the same way, in the same energy as Dak Prescott seems to get. Now, I think Allen has better skills than Dak Prescott. I would take him above Dak Prescott, I think. But the fact that they're not talked about in the same sentence for some reason, it really chaps me. I really get annoyed that he is escaping all of this criticism. And I really do want a head-to-head, even though it doesn't matter in football where a quarterback against a quarterback, it's not basketball. But still, I want to see them on the same venue, hopefully without snow, because snow was stupid. And I hope to come out on top.
That the people that tell me like, oh, they're both close, I'd take Josh Allen because he adds something running. I go, okay, I can understand that. It's the people that are like, no, Josh Allen's just a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. I'm like, dude, can you imagine if Josh Allen was with Noah Brown as his wide receiver 2?
Right.
He'd throw 25 interceptions because he has the arm to try that throw more than Dak would, and the guys just don't separate and they don't catch clean. And so you're going to get those bounces, you're going to get deflections, he would be a turnover machine. And I'm not excusing Dak. Dak had a lot of bad plays too, but Josh Allen has equally as many and had Gabriel Davis and Stephon Diggs. And you can go down the line of his guys. They were bringing in Cole Beasley, like, hey, go ahead and play. Go ahead, go out there and shake some people for a couple games, like just for the hell of it. Yep. So, I'm with you. I don't think there's any way in hell they win that game because they stink in cold weather.
Yep.
And I just don't think they're going to win it. But, man, that would be if I could pick one, like, win that one.
Yeah.
At Buffalo, I love that win.
Yep.
It would be nice if Dak could maybe put that narrative to bed, like not being able to win bad weather games. That'd be nice.
That would.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. Especially, postseason games on the road, to have that monkey off the back would be fantastic.
Confidence booster for sure.
Yeah.
What's your record prediction for Dallas this season?
I've got 11 wins.
That's what I had too.
Yeah.
Yes,
11 wins, second place in the division.
I think that's a fair assessment. Now, the one thing I'll say is I have them at 10-2 right now through our thing, but overall I had them at 12-5, and they have a tough ending stretch. So, that's that. I looked and I was like, damn, am I really gonna have them beat Seattle and be 10-2? I was like, well, Buffalo I have as a loss. They'll probably split Miami, Detroit. So that's 4 right there. You find one more loss in the division. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You look at this team, Reed. Do you view the Cowboys as Super Bowl contenders?
I think they have to be seen as contenders, just because of the landscape of the conference. San Francisco and Philadelphia are the 2 teams I have above them, and that's it. So they have to be seen as that, barring any major injury. And I think they've insulated themselves pretty well. The receivers should all take a huge step up. A little concerned about the play calling. Run pass isn't a formula for success. So I'm hoping that's not going to be the case. We're for sure a contender. I don't think they're going to advance farther than they did last year, though.
Get stuck by Niners or Philly?
Either or. I think both of them are better built to beat us. I don't see us being able to pass either one of them. So that's why I see that second step as capped, because we're going to meet one of them.
Right. Niners adding Hargrave is just, that's gross. It's gross. I hate it. What's your Super Bowl prediction for this year?
You're gonna hate me. I got the Eagles beating the Bengals.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that'll be a fun Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow would put up a lot of points on that Philly defense. I don't know if Philly's defense is going to be quite contender worthy, but I could see them making the Super Bowl because the NFC is so weak. So it's weird to say that, but I see, like, if they ran into Bengals, Buffalo, Kansas City, there's like 6 teams in the AFC that I was like, well, if Philly ran into them, they would have trouble because their defense. But by that time, who knows? Davis and Carter and them could be, playing better, and then it only takes one win.
So, what I think was a big thing for Philadelphia, pivotal, was the NFL allowing them to do that rolling maul thing for short yardage. That bought them so many drive extending plays, so many first downs, so many touchdowns, just being able to grab the ball, pick up, and everybody just move forward in a big ball. Their ability to convert those is a game changer. And if that continues, then they're going to keep doing it until teams start getting girthy enough dudes to block down and to stop that pile from moving. But they only need 6 inches to get it, and they usually get like 2 yards just picking up Hurts and pushing them through the pile. It's absolutely absurd, and it's disheartening and backbreaking. And I think that is what's keeping them so high in my mind, is their ability to always convert these short yardage situations. They play third down. They play third down differently because they know that they can just do the fourth down rolling maul.
Yeah, they try to get to 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, and they know they got 2 plays. They could just do that once or twice. I don't understand why they didn't just make it illegal for the people lined up behind to push them. Like, that seems like the easy. Like, you can't just go behind if you're back there. You can't just line up, have a receiver line up right there and just have 2 people go and push the quarterback. I would have thought they said, well, you can't go behind and push the quarterback. And then it would have been, it would have been a different situation. Jalen Hurts has to literally get it instead of being pushed. And they'll get it a lot anyway because that offensive line's great. But it's different when 2 guys just get to roll everything forward. It's too difficult to deal with.
It's true. Yeah. And half the time his legs are off the ground. He's sandwiched and moved, like going through a mosh pit. And it's unreal. And until, luckily, the Cowboys invested girth in the middle of their line. So hopefully they can be a little more stout. But this advantage still goes to Philadelphia. And until the Cowboys start blitzing off the edge and spearing ankles in that big push, I don't know how they stop it.
Yeah, that's what you do, and it sucks you have to do it, but you go around the corner and you go low on people. And you're gonna push everything? All right, we're gonna go. Hey, if your leg's caught up in the turf, don't do that play. It's the same way they treated the little pitch play. Just annihilate the quarterback because he's considered a runner. Destroy him every time. Mm-hmm. And that is how they basically eliminated that. People still do versions, but it's very rare that you see it now because they know eventually you'll just get your quarterback killed. Yep. So, that could be a way to do it. Go around, dive at people's legs, and try to cut the ball down. That's basically what they're going to have to do.
Mm-hmm. I hear that.
All right, Reed. I forgot to do this before we asked this last couple of questions, but I wanted to do a record recap. You had us going 4-0 during the stretch. Mikey had us going 4-0. I had us going 3-1. Reed, I can't thank you enough for coming on here. Can you talk to us a little bit about your content and where we can find it before we get you out of here?
Yeah, I'm on Cowboys Wire with Mike. Pretty much kick something out every day. I do 30 a month. And then managing editor at Sport DFW. And I put out about 20 articles there. And we've got a great staff of writers that are putting out daily content there. Let's see, tomorrow I've got coming out Cowboys Wire on Dak Prescott and his ability to hit the sideline passes with elite efficiency and how much meat is left on the bone in the middle. And if the Cowboys want to take their passing offense to another level, they need to start getting the middle of the field.
And you were blaming the play calling on that, I believe you were saying, right?
Yeah. Ted Seth over at Summer Sports broke down an analysis on it about how the middle of the field plays varies greatly from season to season, like as far as performance and efficiency. Whereas the outside plays, really only the very good quarterbacks are the ones who are performing on the outside. And those are stable year to year. So you see somebody like Dak who's performing year after year on the sideline, the deep sideline, that's a sign of a great quarterback. The middle of the field is where even bad quarterbacks can produce, but they produce great numbers there. But it takes a calculated effort from the coaching staff. You have to have proper pass protection. You have to have proper plays. You have to have proper personnel running in the middle of the field. And with this birth of the too high safety, middle of the field open, the stage is set perfectly. But we need a calculated effort to hit that middle of the field. I don't know if that's going to happen because I know the Cowboys are pushing on fast release. And usually those middle of the field plays are a little slower developing. You have to hit a lane because they're not all just go routes. But that is the biggest area of opportunity for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott's numbers are far below league average in the intermediate to deep middle.
Now, do you think maybe it's a Schoonmaker or Brandon Cooks that you're hoping can take advantage of that role? Or, do you have a favorite, maybe a player that you think you'd like to see in that role?
Right. I think it's going to have to be CeeDee Lamb the most, and then one of the tight ends. Usually it's who's ever in the slot, and then who your other tight end. And then who knows? Like the Cowboys, they were lining up a lot of 4 wide receiver with Jalen Tolbert and CeeDee Lamb in the middle, both in their respective slots. So who knows? Maybe there's another receiver to factor into there. But the whole idea is to keep your outside receivers or enough to keep the safeties split apart to open up things in the middle. That's kind of been an Achilles where Dak thinks he's looked off a safety, or he thinks it's a single high and then it switches to a 2 high, or it thinks it's a 2 high and then all of a sudden it switches to a single. So it's something he has to work out as well. But it's also play design. It has to be play design, and that's why it's unstable year to year. That's why you see quarterbacks have completely different seasons with their success in the middle of the field.
I expect running back to get a lot of plays on the little out and ups to the middle or the little curl stops to the middle. Yep. I expect a lot of that. Mike McCarthy and Schottenheimer get their running backs involved in the pass game 1,000,000 times more than Kellen Moore does.
Yeah, which could be good, could be bad. As long as I think we'll find that the data shows if the ball is thrown at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage, it's not going to be a very fruitful play to the running back. If the running back actually goes out and makes some progress downfield, like Tony Pollard has recently, then it can be very fruitful. It can produce great results. So it's kind of, what you said. And you look at McCarthy's different running backs, whether you go back to all the way to Amon Green and who's the kid there now from UTEP?
Jones?
Yes. Yeah. Aaron Jones. Both of those guys got the ball. He threw the ball to them. Exactly what you said.
Schottenheimer too. Schottenheimer's big to the running back.
Yep. So it's going to be neat just to see how things unfold. And then the same with the running game. Let me plug one more piece. Tomorrow, I'm also dropping on Sport DFW. Let's see. I titled it "West Coast Texas Toast, Burnt Toast. Cowboys don't need more runs," and it's kind of a snarky article about the overusage of the running game and what is Mike McCarthy really going to do? Why is there so much contradictory evidence in front of us on what this stupid offense is going to be when Jerry Jones says it's going to be just like Green Bay, and then Mike McCarthy says he wants to run the damn ball, and then none of this makes sense. The fact that it's a West Coast offense, but it's run heavy. Those don't go together, guys, right? So there's so much, and so this is kind of a snarky, fun way I vented on that subject.
How'd you have time to even do the pod, dude? I don't even get the 10 out a month. You're getting 30. Jesus.
Well, Reed, again, thank you so much for coming on, man. Way to end the pod on a strong note, Reed. Thank you again for coming on. Before we get you out of here, remind the people where they can find you on Twitter.
Okay, at Reed D. Hansen. You can find me at Cowboys Wire or at Sports DFW.
Mike, remind the people where they can find you on Twitter, sir.
Guys, read. Okay? He puts out great articles, people. So just do it. And you can do it at DFW or Cowboys Wire. I'm not just doing that to plug my guys. Read them both. At CD Piglet, guys. Letter C, letter D, Piglet. Nice and easy.
Guys, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.